Alright, this is going to be the last video we're going to do for difference of two squares, and just like all the other factoring techniques, now we're going to apply it to an equation. You can see right above where I have solve, make sure we always have the quadratic equation set equal to 0. Otherwise, there's no point in factoring, you really can't factor it, and you won't be able to solve. Okay, we look at that first one, we got x squared equals 144. So I want everything on one side. I want the x squared as positive. So I'm going to get rid of the 144 by subtracting 144 from each side. That cancels out as 0. And then I would subtract 144 from the left. I have x squared minus 144. There's no greatest common factor here. So we got to be thinking this is difference of two squares, and it is. 12 squared is 144. So this is going to factor to x minus 12. Times the quantity of x plus 12. And if we set that equal to 0, well, we're just going to get x to equal 12. And then for the x plus 12, negative 12. So these are our two solutions. Okay, if I move the number 2, so I'll kind of move over, make this a little bit bigger. Oops. Alright, if I move the number 2, good thing is it's already set equal to 0, so I don't have to rearrange the terms. But this one does have a GCF. For 3 and 48, 3 goes into 48, so I can pull a 3 out. Now when I pull out the 3, then on the inside I'm going to have x squared minus, and then 48 divided by 3 is 16, and that equals 0. So I have that quadratic on the inside, x squared minus 16, and this is difference of two squares. Right? 4 squared gives me 16. So when I factor, I'm going to have 3 times the quantity, and it's just going to be x minus 4 times the quantity of x plus 4. Now even though I have 3 factors, remember this 3, that can never equal 0. Since there's no x on the outside with it, it really doesn't do anything to the solutions. So if I just set each of these equal to 0, right, x minus 4 is equal to 0, so we get x equal 4. If x plus 4 equals 0, then the answer has to be negative 4. Okay, let's move over to number 3. Now, one thing a little bit different from number 3, we see right away. Number 1, it's not set equal to 0, but more importantly, it's negative x squared. Whenever we factor, we always want the coefficient for x squared to be positive. So let's move this over to the right to make it positive. We're going to add x squared. That cancels, so we have 0 equals, and then if I add x squared here, really I could rearrange this negative 169 plus x squared. I could rewrite that as x squared minus 169. Now since it's x squared, there is no GCF, so we're going to have difference of two squares. I know a lot of times we went up to 12 squared, but this 169 is actually 13 squared. So this then is going to factor to x minus 13 times the quantity of x plus 13. And then your answers, set each of the two factors equal to 0, we get 13 and negative 13. Alright, so same thing, solving, make sure it's always set equal to 0, and then follow our same steps. Look to factor out a GCF, and then if you have a quadratic, look to factor that into two binomials.